Lost track of the forest through the trees, forgot what I was chasing. Spent so many nights living out at sea that my heart is gone vacant.
Oh, welcome to this episode, guys. How you feeling, Kel?
Good, how are you?
Fat. I'm feeling fat. It was a big dinner. What did you think of it? It's the first time we've done that. What did we do?
We made pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
I know. We were out in Ocean Grove having ice cream.
Although it's quite cold.
It is, but that's the good side of it, right? If you have ice cream when it's cold, the ice cream doesn't melt very quickly.
Yeah,
so you can walk around and you're all good. It doesn't fall onto your hands, drip onto your hands, onto the ground, onto your shirt.
It was so cheap. I think because I'm used to going to Queenscliff, where the ice cream's like $10.
Well, I think too, it was cheap because it was one scoop.
Yeah.
Instead of two like
and
normal.
she had like 4 flavors or something.
Well, that's it. We went to an Italian, I guess it's like I don't think it was really just an ice cream place. They kind of had all kinds of delicatessens.
Yeah, like cheeses,
foods, meats, fine meats from Italy as well, and Australia and other places that you could buy there. But they had ice cream, which is what drew us into the store. So we went in and got the ice cream. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good. What did you have? What was the flavour that you had?
Vanilla.
It was vanilla bean, right?
Yeah.
And it was good?
Yeah, it was just like, sugar. that doesn't have much taste, I guess.
Are you a bit of a vanilla kind of person, Kel?
No.
Is that why you like? So what do we mean? If I call you a really vanilla person, how would you explain that?
Tame or like
boring?
Yeah.
Plain is a good way of thinking about it, right? Plain ice cream. You think, ice cream, plain ice cream's vanilla, right? And you're like, well, vanilla is actually a flavour.
Yeah.
Because it's from the vanilla bean.
Yeah,
you forget it's not just plain.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a bit reluctant to try weird things. Like
weird.
I always go for like chocolate or like vanilla or
new things. You're always whinging
not
about new things.
But
what happened tonight with the pizza?
You always have those weird sauces like mayo.
Weird? It was mayonnaise. That's not weird.
But it had like.
You always whinge about the different sauces. So I love my tomato sauce, barbecue sauce, peri-peri spicy sauces. I love my jalapeno sauces.
Don't like it.
Everything. I love it. And Kel pretty much only ever has tomato sauce with very specific things, right?
Yeah, very specific things.
Yeah, you'll cringe when I have tomato sauce with Brazilian food, like, what is it, salgados?
Yeah,
How would you
have
explain
it with
this? Deep fried food.
Pão de queijo.
Yeah, which is bread with cheese in it. It's really good.
Yeah, no.
You never tried it.
No, well, you can't even try it. It's just like, nah, you can't.
It's amazing.
Mix those things.
It's amazing. I think
together.
pão de queijo, this cheese bread, would be so good. In fact, I tried it. Remember with Vegemite? That was brutally awesome.
But you do have some like mixtures in Brazil. People have it with Nutella or doce de leite.
Which is what?
Which is
condensed milk that's been cooked into
a
caramel kind of doce de leite.
It's so good, but I don't know. I'm a bit more traditional, I guess.
A bit more vanilla.
No, traditional.
We'll go with vanilla. Vanilla's better. There's nothing wrong with being vanilla, Kel. Anyway, so we had pizzas. So what did we do? We were walking down the street, walking down the avenue, walking down the street called the Terrace in Ocean Grove.
I walked all the way to the terrace.
You can tell that story if you want.
Because I wanted to do some exercise and it's getting hard for me because my belly is heavy and baby's putting a lot of pressure down there.
Yeah, well, that's something interesting it could be an overshare, it could be too much information, but it's not too bad, right?
Too much information, Albert.
But I didn't realize when you're pregnant, the baby grows, and your belly expands, but then eventually it drops down lower into your hips.
Yeah.
Right? So I didn't realize that happened. I just thought it just keeps growing outwards, right?
Yeah.
But it lowers, and that's what makes it really hard to walk and move around.
There is a name for it. I think it's lightening. Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure it's lightening when the baby drops. My baby hasn't dropped.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Our baby.
Yeah.
Our baby hasn't dropped. Noah hasn't dropped. What have you forgotten his name already? Noah hasn't dropped.
But he is putting a lot of pressure on like my pelvic bone and
Jesus.
Just like it's a weird feeling.
I can't imagine that, to be honest. As a man and as someone who's obviously never been pregnant, I can't imagine that the kinds of feelings that you would have inside you, right? There's a human being there. He's pushing in different directions and he's growing. It must be insane. Are you looking forward to getting him out of you? It's gotten to that point already? I
am. Although it took me a while to really appreciate being pregnant and enjoy pregnancy. But now I'm just so tired. I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I'm like, yeah, I have such a beautiful belly, and people are always like, oh, you look so nice. But yeah, I guess because of the discomfort, I'm really over it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to having him.
Well, that's what they always said, right? Every time I was chatting to my sister who had a baby more recently, she got to the end of her pregnancy and was like, just get it the F out of my body. Take this out. I'm over this. This is so annoying. Yeah. And then you meet a few other pregnant women and they all seem to go through the same phase towards the end of pregnancy where they're just like, get this out. I'm over it. I'm so over it.
I don't know. I can't relate. That it's just painful. But I guess giving birth is even more painful. So.
I think the most painful part's going to be having the baby. As in after the birth.
Oh, you mean like raising a child?
Yeah, you got 18 years of pain.
Oh, Jesus. No.
I'm sure the listeners know what I'm talking about. There's probably a lot of them with kids out there who are like, God damn, yes, it's difficult. It's way worse afterwards. Way worse.
But to be honest, when I think about it, I think having a newborn and a toddler at home, it's kind of something I can deal with. But having a teenager at home scares the out of me.
You can swear. Scares the shit out of you, does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never been good. I've worked with teenagers. Like I was a study tutor in Queensland.
Yep. When you were in charge of a whole year level, right? Of
Probably
border girls.
24 girls.
Well, and that's even worse. Girls are one thing, boys are another thing, but I know that teenage girls are pretty hard to control.
They are really hard. And
especially if you're the teacher, geez.
And it's funny because I look back and I'm like, I don't know how I did it. Because sometimes I see them on social media or whatever, but I'm like, oh my God, you were so difficult. Like it is hard for me. I don't know. Maybe because my teenage years were so hard. Like I wasn't very social. Like I didn't have many friends. And
I think you were a pretty well-behaved teenager.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was
was not.
I was so like, from school, I would go home and that was pretty much it. Like
you animal.
That was my
partying 24/7.
I didn't have I always say that I had a really late sort of teenage phase. Like
you were a late bloomer. You were like a flower. You bloomed late.
When I was 24 something, I started partying and I had a lot of friends and I was on social media. I was like, oh, I'm behaving like a 17-year-old. But yeah, it was hard. So I'm not looking forward to having a teenager at home.
I think you were definitely a late bloomer then. I think I was sort of the same. I never drank while I was in high school. I only started drinking when I was probably 24. And it was always because I was afraid that if I had alcohol, it would make me crazier than I sort of already was.
Yeah, you told me some of those stories and I was like, Jesus. So good.
We were just like a big group of boys that used to get together on the weekends. Some of them would drink. But I would always be like, oh, it's okay, I'm pretty wild, anyway. And it was weird because looking back, it's kind of a responsible thing to do.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what surprised me. Like most teenagers would be like,
but the problem is that so many of them would just drink and then pass out, like get wasted, vomit. And I was always like, that right? Side of it's not appealing. But then the funny thing is, I started when I was 24 at James's birthday. Listeners on the podcast might know James. I've interviewed him a few times on here. But I went to one of his birthdays, I think when he was turning 23 or 24, and drank for the first time and was like, this is freaking amazing. I feel so relaxed. I feel amazing. I can talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And that was like, okay. And then
you stood up.
Yeah. Well, no, the first time was fine because I only had like 1 or 2 drinks. And then the next time, because you're still sort of finding your limits. I don't know what it's like for a lot of you guys who were younger and when you first drank for the first time, you don't really know what's going to happen too, right? So there is a bit of a fear there where when you drink for the first time, as I'm sure it's the case when you take drugs for the first time, when you go to the dentist for the first time, when you go to the doctor for the first time, you don't know what's going to happen. So you kind of, freak out a little bit and you're like, ooh, just take it easy, have a little bit. So the next time I think it was New Year's, I got plastered. I got trashed. Because I didn't know the upper limit. I knew the lower limit where I'd had 2 drinks and I was like, yeah, that felt good. What happens if I have 4 drinks?
Yeah.
And so I just sculled them. I had them straight away when we got to James's. We bought like, I think they were 4 double blacks, which were like vodka drinks of some kind. And I just drank all of them in half an hour and was just wrecked for the rest of the night.
It's terrible.
I was out, like I was lying on the ground. I wasn't misbehaving, but I couldn't even, because the world was spinning.
Absolutely.
I was so out of it that I could talk to people, but I just didn't want to stand up because I thought I was going to vomit. So I remember lying in a trailer of dirt that James's dad somehow had brought in to the garage where everyone was partying. And I was like, look, I'm just going to lie down here in the trailer, guys. Like, just make sure I don't die. The world's spinning.
Just check on me.
Wake me up when it's midnight and the fireworks are going this New Year's. And the funny thing was, so one of my friends woke me up when it was probably like 11:30. So I'd probably been trashed for like 2 hours, 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and he picked me up and I vomited everywhere.
Oh.
But he picked it up straight away. He'd used a goon box, right? You know, the cardboard box that a bag of goon comes in. For you guys in Australia might know what goon is. It's that cask wine, right? You know, the wine that you get in a silver bag.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so
that's so
we
good.
call that goon. And he had somehow been drinking that, pulled the bag out of the box and used the cardboard to scoop my vomit up and put it in the bin. So that as soon as I turned around, I was like, could have sworn I just vomited, but there's nothing there. So he cleaned it up, and then we went down to the beach, like had fun, had New Year's, and I've never been that drunk ever again because I was like, do not want to go through that ever again.
Terrible.
So one side, it was kind of a horrible experience. The other side, it was definitely a positive one because it made me think, okay.
Yeah.
And now, you know, I barely drink at all.
Yeah.
So, funny story.
I think for me, the first time I got really drunk, it was like a concert that I went to, and I had vodka as well.
You're an animal.
It was gross. I don't remember one single song they sang.
That's how good the drinks were.
I'm like, I just remember because I was so quiet and like I was really high. What do you call it? Scores at school.
Yeah. So you did really well at school.
Yeah, I
You're
was really well behaved and everything. So on the night, like I got really drunk and I just remember everything I know about this night. Like my friends told me afterwards, they were like, you were crazy. Like no one recognized you. I don't remember. I absolutely don't remember what happened. And that was the last time. That was the last time I had vodka. I don't drink vodka at all. But I got drunk a few other times. And I remember I went to work absolutely drunk once. And that's when I realized, I'm like, I am 20 plus. I can't keep doing that.
Yeah.
I have responsibilities.
Well, and it's weird. You go through university, and I remember the first few years of university, they would always be huge parties because everyone is of the legal age where they can drink. They can obviously, have sex. They can go to parties, and the police aren't going to arrest them for those things in and of themselves, unlike in, high school or something. Mm-hmm. And so I remember people always letting loose at university, and that was another reason I kind of delayed drinking because I was always like, oh, this just doesn't seem appealing to me. And anything can happen. But yeah, it is funny. But what do you like drinking now? What are your favorite drinks when you can actually drink?
I do like beer, especially in Australia because you have so many different beers and like
Did you develop that taste once you got here,
definitely.
Or you already liked beer when you were in Brazil?
I liked it, but in Brazil you don't drink because you enjoy beer. You drink because you want to get drunk. There's nothing to enjoy. Like beer in Brazil is disgusting.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, well, guys, I'm drinking because everyone else is drinking and I want to get drunk. But here I got to taste like different. You really like IPA, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I was
Indian
like.
Pale Ale.
Yeah,
Indian
good.
Pale Ales are amazing.
I'm drinking it not because I want to get drunk. I just enjoy.
You will pretty quick.
Yeah, but that's it's one of the perks of getting older.
Yeah.
You know your limits, and you're just like, I'll be fine with one.
You no longer
drink.
care though, right? You're no longer trying to impress anyone. Yeah. You and I are obviously married, so we're no longer trying to sort of impress the opposite sex to try and find a partner. So there's no pressure, And And that happens quite a lot. Like, we hang out with some friends and they're always like, Pete, drink.
Yeah.
Drink, Pete, drink. And I'll be like, nah, it's all good. Because at the moment, I bought a 6-pack of beer, a really good beer that I like, which is an IPA, I believe. And it's sitting on top of the fridge. And I decided just randomly, okay, look, I'm going to open that when Noah's born.
Yeah.
You know, I'll have that when he's born and I'll just wait. So I haven't drunk for like 2 months.
More than that, definitely.
You reckon? More than 2 months?
More than 2 months. But I think it's nice that you have self-control, and people around you might be like, oh, you should have just one. And that's when you're like, okay, I'll have one just because this guy being like...
Well, it's partly that, but I think it's also a responsibility where you're pregnant. A lot of these parties I have to drive to, and I would rather not take the risk of one being under the influence, even a little bit, to the point where I have to worry about being, you know, breathalyzed or having to do a breatho with the cops. And if the cops, you know, for whatever reason, I was 0.05, you know, one, obviously, if you drink and that happens, you're in trouble. But two, I can't imagine what would happen, how I would ever forgive myself if I drunk something and crashed or did something while you were in the car whilst pregnant.
It was funny because I think the only time you were like, okay, I'll have a glass of wine. On our way back home, there was like, the cops were like, stop. And you're like, oh, I was really scared. They would just, you know, test you.
Maybe tell the whole story. So I had a glass of wine at lunch.
Yeah.
And we drove home at 6 at night.
Yeah.
So it was a good 6 hours after I'd had the wine.
But
so the one glass of wine. I wasn't exactly going to have that in my system, but I know what you mean. I was worried as well.
I was like,
you always assume the worst. Every time the cops pull you over and you have to do something, you're always like, oh, crap. You know, is a gun going to appear in my car? Is like a bag of heroin going to be on the back seat somehow?
And for me, I don't really... I'm afraid of cops. Like, I'm afraid of the police. So I was like, just praying, just like, God, please, just let us go. Just like, I don't know what I did, but I'm innocent. I don't like it.
Oh, man. Anyway, drinking. Well, hopefully that's a lot of vocab and interesting conversation about drinking. I don't think we've spoken about that on the podcast before.
No, probably not. But, I don't know.
So back to pizzas. I like that aspect of Australian culture because what were your thoughts when you first came to Australia? Were you like, where's the traditional foods?
Yes.
Yes.
I was.
Because I know now having dived into the Brazilian culture, you have so many unique Brazil-only foods that even regional. So you'd go to the north and you find certain things.
Yes.
You know, you've got your Brazilian hot dogs. You've got your different meals with beans that you have and rice that you have. The fried foods that you have are very unique and different.
Seafood.
But Australia doesn't really have it the same way because I think we are such a melting pot of different cultures and peoples from all over the world. And it kind of hasn't stopped long enough, I don't think, for any time for that to develop. I mean, obviously, the Indigenous people in Australia have very traditional foods, right? We shouldn't forget them. They have very traditional foods that are very specific to their regions and their cultures. But for the rest of us who've arrived here more recently, you know, the British arrived in the late 1700s, and then every, 10 to 20 years, a different group of people from a different culture came, and so that's why we have such a mix. But it's cool because, like tonight, you can just go to the supermarket, and we were just like, screw it, we'll just have pizza. We can buy the bases, we can buy the tomato paste or sauce that we can put on it. We got the cheese, special cheddar cheese that we can put on pizzas. We then went to the delicatessen or the meat deli, and we bought different meats.
Yeah.
I think I got what?
Salami,
peri-peri chicken. You liked your hot salami.
Yeah, it's good.
And then they had a little area where we could get, what would you call them? Like pickled vegetables, right? Like the olives and your sun-dried tomatoes. Yeah. And then we got some basil, and Kel got some chocolate, as always. Not to put on the pizzas.
No, for dessert.
And then we came home, put it all together, and put it in the oven, and there you go. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Yeah. It was good. It was really good. I think the only part I didn't like was that the
olives.
Wow. Olives aren't my thing, but I make you have so much broccoli, so I had to eat them.
Yeah.
I know they're good for me.
Olives were healthy because you were saying...
Well, they're vegetables, right?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, when I got here, I was expecting like, okay, now I want to try really traditional Australian food, and but to be honest, I don't think I've ever got used to it. Like
the food here.
Yeah, even the like 3 vegetables and roast things that you guys have.
Your meat and 3 veg, we call it meat and 3 veg, which is usually carrots, potatoes, and what's the third one? Broccoli or something like that. I think, or pumpkin.
I enjoy it, but it's just it feels like there's something missing. I don't know.
Well, and that's why you kind of have to make up your own dishes, right?
Yeah.
Like when I grew up, I've still got a lot of growing to do. When I grew up, when I was a kid, I remember my parents would always be cooking Indian food. They would be cooking Chinese food. They would have their roasts and, your more British kind of food. We'd get things like pizzas. We'd make our own pizzas. We would buy them as well. We would get Chinese takeaway. We would get fish and chips. So there would always be this really wide spread of different foods. There wouldn't be like this, my family has passed down this one, specific recipe of food that we always have.
Yeah.
There's not the same kind of cultural practice for people in Australia.
And I think I can only speak for like me and my family, but it's hard to, especially in a city like St. Louis, which is quite small, unless you do...
It's the size of Melbourne, guys. It's 5 million people, right?
No, less than that, like 1 million or something.
That's still pretty big.
Anyway, but unless you have a lot of spare money, like you can't really go out every now and then to have I would try Chinese food tonight. It's a luxury. So you have to, make do with, you cook for yourself and you have rice and black beans and beef or chicken, and that goes on for the whole week.
Well, that's probably part of it though, right? Like I would imagine, and it's not to make fun of Brazil or anything at all, but countries where the average person isn't making as much money, say compared to Australia or Britain or America, people have to grow their own food or buy a lot of the same food, and then they have to spend their time cooking it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas obviously for us, we have more of an ability to get more disposable income, and then we can, as soon as you get disposable income, you're like, well, I'm not spending 2 hours a day cooking. Like, screw that. And so that's why we go to supermarkets and restaurants and take away food everywhere.
Yeah.
But you don't realize, like, that's probably the same everywhere. Like in Africa, in parts of Asia, a lot of the people cook local foods that they have to grow, and that's why it always ends up the same food, right?
Yeah.
Or at least similar, because you grow that stuff locally. But here, you drive around and there are farms, but they're pretty much all sheep and beef farms. There's no real canola farms. You might see wheat, but there's rarely any staple food like that we use every single day, like beans and rice.
Even with the coffee culture, like I mean, how many times a week we go out for coffee?
But it's because people can't be buggered, right? They can't be screwed doing it at home.
Having disposable income, because in Brazil you have breakfast at home, and you probably take your own lunch to work, because you're not going to buy food outside.
Well, and it's all about making your life easier, right? You want to outsource the things you don't like doing.
Yeah.
And you as soon as you get more money, you're more than willing to pay other people to do the stuff you don't want to do, right? So, and especially if there's one guy who can make 1,000 coffees in a shift, and you can just pay him more than you would if you had to make it at home, it's kind of a win-win situation, right? So one of the interesting things, I was reading a book recently, which is Enlightenment Now by Steven Pinker, and he was saying what probably the invention that has helped the most people in the biggest way in the last 100 to 200 years is the washing machine. Because in the early 1900s, women spent on average 11.5 hours a week, I think it was, cleaning clothes.
Jesus Christ.
How many hours a week do you think they spend now?
One
1.5.
Really?
So it dropped by, what's that, like 8 times. So all of a sudden these women were like, you know, obviously, thank God, we're willing to spend all this money on this one machine to do this thing for us, but now we have an extra 10 hours a week, which is, you know, what, 500 hours a year to pour into something else that can then generate us an income that we can then spend the money on, you know, outsourcing other things. So
crazy.
Yeah, it is interesting. So it'll be amazing to see what happens with countries like Brazil in the near future, because obviously a lot of people are moving up, right? They're starting to make more money. They're getting into the middle class. They're getting into the upper class. So you're going to see a lot of cultural things potentially drop away and a lot of new cultural things, like, you know, maybe Sao Paulo will become the coffee capital of South America, you know, anything can happen.
It's not that people don't drink but Brazil is not it's famous for its coffee. But at the same time, the average person doesn't have one time and set to money to be out, you know, 3 times a week having coffee with friends.
Well, and that's why it'll be interesting to see when that happens, because it's only a matter of time, right? That Brazil will be in the same position as Australia. It might not be in the next 2 years, but eventually that's going to happen, you would imagine. And it'll be interesting to see how that manifests, right? So imagine tomorrow every Brazilian has the same amount of disposable income as the average Australian. What are they going to spend it on? Because they're going to spend it on something, whether it's saving them time, whether it's holidays, whether it's, you know, protesting against Bolsonaro, whatever it is, they're going to spend it on something.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope things improve, and but it's just a bit different because even now I've been here for 3 years and a little bit. But
how do you feel after that time? Do you feel like you've become Australian?
I don't feel that I've become Australian, but I feel distant from Brazil. Like, I don't know what's happening in Brazil.
Yeah.
Like, I don't watch Brazilian TV. I don't know anything, you know, really.
Has that been an active process, or did you do that intentionally?
No,
or
you just get distant. Like, you don't talk to the same people anymore. You don't read. I was a journalist, so I was always like, I knew what was happening. But now I'm like, no, I don't. I have no idea what's happening.
Well, I guess it's not relevant to your day-to-day life.
Exactly. Yeah, I just feel so distant. And I keep using the same jokes from like 5 years ago.
What do you mean in English?
No, in Portuguese. And I'm like, people just don't laugh. Like, some people just don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm a bit old now. I don't know.
It is so funny how much that happens, though, because so in Melbourne, we have a street called Lygon Street, where it's renowned for its Italian restaurants. There are shitloads of Italians there, because when they came over after the Second World War, I think in the 50s and 60s, all the Italians came over, they went to the big cities and they set up their restaurants and cafes and pizzerias all in the same sort of area, because they, you know, wanted to sort of have their own space, their own little Italy. And so the funny thing is, whenever I've met Italians come to Australia now, you know, 50, 60, more 70 years later, they go to Lygon Street and they're like, I can't fucking understand these guys.
Really?
They speak Italian from the south of Italy. They speak with a different accent. They use slang and expressions from 70 years ago that has since changed. So I never thought about that. I was always like, oh crap, they are in like a little time bubble where they've obviously come to Australia like you have, and then they kind of distance themselves from Italy, and they're not constantly touching base with Italy, with people at home. Like, what's the latest slang term? What's the latest expression? And they probably develop their own slang and their own expressions as well. And it happened as well with my friend's parents, who are both French, and she grew up in Perth with them, speaking French at home. And then eventually they came out here. I think they came out in the 70s, but eventually she went to France, and everyone was like, what the fuck language are you speaking? You're using all these strange words. You speak like someone who's out of like the olden day movies from And she was like, well, she clued on quickly and learnt the real French, but she was like, my parents have been in Australia and they haven't obviously been watching TV, watching the news, keeping touch with French culture. So
that's exactly how I feel. Like, I feel if I go to Brazil tomorrow, I'll be like,
I got a lot of catching up to do.
I do. Although it hasn't been a long time, like, but it's still, because I'm not, Brazil makes, a lot of the language and culture, it's like based on TV or like social media. So you get a lot of memes and expressions from those
So it develops
sources.
very rapidly and changes over very quickly too, right? So it recycles very quickly.
Exactly. So because I'm not in touch with those, medias anymore, I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, there are famous people in Brazil that I'm like, I have no idea who this person is. And I keep listening to songs that were famous like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And people are just like, oh, you have, you're really traditional indeed. Because, I don't know. I feel really separated from...
Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to sort of work out how this is going to go with Noah and trying to keep touch with Brazil. But it isn't easy. But at the same time, it must be good because you get to see the world through two different lenses, through two different windows where you've been here long enough and you know English well enough and the culture well enough to sort of have a really good idea of what Australia is and what an Australian is. But you also have 30 years or 28 years of growing up in Brazil and have your foot on two different continents, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, we're going to finish up there and start talking. You've got something to chat about. So if you guys want access to the next episode, you're going to have to sign up to the premium podcast. So go to aussieenglish.com.au and you will get access to these bonus episodes that will come out on the podcast for members only. But today, I'm going to be talking about an echidna that is allergic to ants. I found this story and wanted to talk to you about it. And Kel's going to be talking about visa updates that have just come through, right? Or will come through soon.
Next week.
They're coming through next week on getting your PR, is it?
Oh, it's actually there are a few changes on the sponsored family visas.
Yeah.
Which includes the partner visa.
Okay, so we're going to talk all about that.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so if you want access to that, become a member, and we'll see you there. See ya.
Oh, I want to stay right here, chilling with my friends for another